Welcome. I'm Michelle, how are you? I am happy to meet you. Today I'm going to explain the movie Shaolin Wooden Men, released in the year 1976. The movie revolves around a dumb orphan Shaolin Kung Fu student named Little Mute. He's new to the Shaolin monastery, so he struggles to keep up with the other students and to complete the grueling tasks assigned to him by his instructor. One day the Shaolin master orders his students to fetch water from the river while wearing heavy iron shoes. Master explains that being weighed down they must have to focus their strength on their feet in order to walk. This is fundamental to the Shaolin weightless technique, which would make the disciples light as a bird and make them able to walk on rooftops and water. Little Mute's classmates let him collect water from the stream first and challenge him to reach the monastery before them. He accepts the challenge, but his classmates effortlessly beat him. Moreover, he trips on the steps and rolls down. Dejected, he sits by the river and gets lost in his thoughts. Soon he starts thinking about his late father, who was viciously murdered by a masked bandit. Turns out the bloody event traumatized Little Mute into silence. Meanwhile, a nun watches Little Mute from a distance and eventually approaches him. She introduces herself as the Five Plums, a friend of Shaolin Master who lives in the Lotus Nunnery. She tries to motivate him and reminds him that Shaolin Kung Fu has a long history and it's very difficult to master. It takes great perseverance and determination to scratch the surface. The woman's words move him and he decides to finish his task. However, he still finishes last and the master scolds him. He calls him lazy and tells him to get out of the monastery. Hearing this, Little Mute falls down to his knees and apologizes to the master, pleading with him to let him stay. The master eventually agrees to let him stay and orders him to chop wood as punishment. Later, while chopping firewood, he again gets lost in his thoughts and pulls out a necklace which belonged to his late father. Suddenly a drunken monk shows up and Little Mute gets back to chopping wood. The monk gives him a lecture about Shaolin before parting ways. Drunk out of his mind, he can barely walk straight. Worried, Little Mute follows him and the drunken monk inadvertently leads him to a secret cave behind a waterfall. There he finds a man imprisoned. The imprisoned man yells at two young monks who bring him food and water every day, ordering them to bring him wine. As soon as the monks leave, Little Mute helps the man eat the food, instantly winning his trust. After finishing the meal, the man tells Little Mute to bring him wine the next time he visits him. Later that night, the monastery's best fighter Jung On challenges Wooden Men. Lane, a narrow hallway containing 36 Shaolin Wooden Men, which are mechanical dummies that attack anyone who enters the hallway. Turns out that whoever defeats the men are allowed to leave the Shaolin. Little Mute and his mates fondly watch the battle, but Jung loses the fight and is left badly battered. The master priest chastises him for overestimating his abilities and tells him that he will be punished after he recovers from his injuries. The next day, Little Mute saves a bun from his lunch for the prisoner. He also covertly steals the drunken monk's alcohol. Expectedly, the prisoner is delighted and asks him to bring more wine the next time. He also promises to repay him generously when he is pleased. The man then asks him why the two monks didn't visit him today. Follow the second part of this film's story on this channel.